You know, healthcare is one of the biggest hidden expenses draining entrepreneurs and families, and most people don't even realize they're overpaying. What if you could cut your healthcare costs, understand your options clearly, and still access quality care? Today's guest is on a mission to bridge the health knowledge gap and give people back control of both their health and their money. Now, if you own a business, have a family, or just want to stop feeling confused about insurance, this episode is for you. So I want you to stay tuned. Welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast. It's the podcast that goes straight to the core of what drives entrepreneurial success. I'm your host, Max Fortune, and with over 30 years of experience building businesses and guiding others to do the same, each week we explore the mindsets, strategies, and real-life stories that distinguish thriving entrepreneurs, delivering you the candid insights you need to elevate your business and to reach new heights. So if you've tuned in and received just one piece of advice that you can use to make your business journey a little easier, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Mind Your Biz Expert on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching or listening to this podcast on. It's just a little thing you can do that goes a long way to keep this podcast going. So pause now and just do it. Now, today I'm joined by Lauren Humphrey, the founder of All Things Health, a company dedicated to helping individuals, families, and small, medium-sized businesses, helping them to understand their health options and access affordable, quality care. Now, Lauren was raised in a family where wellness was a lifestyle. She assumed everyone had the same awareness until she entered the health insurance industry and saw firsthand the deep gap in education access and support across communities. But she was determined to change that. She created All Things Health to simplify healthcare and reduce costs and empower people to protect both their health and their financial future. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
All right. And so before we dive into our conversation with Lauren, which I'm really super excited about, I'm going to set the stage for our Mindset Minute. And this is where we take a moment to focus on a powerful nugget of wisdom designed to help you push through the challenges of the week. It's a quick mental reset to help you keep sharp, motivated, and ready to tackle whatever comes your way. So let's get into it. Now, entrepreneurs, you guys insure your cars, they insure their buildings, they insure their businesses, but they often neglect the asset that generates everything, their health. This week's shift, health is not an expense, it's a business infrastructure. Now, if your body breaks down, your business slows down. If your team is unhealthy, productivity drops. So if healthcare costs are out of control, profit margins shrink. So protect your health the way you protect your revenue. Now, Lauren, let's talk about how people can actually do that intelligently. And so, again, welcome you to the show. And let's just kind of jump right into this thing. And let's just be honest here. Are most entrepreneurs overpaying for healthcare?
Most people in general are entrepreneurs, individuals, families. Most people in general are because they don't know how healthcare works. They don't know the details of, for example, the out-of-pocket expenses, the deductibles, how that works. You know, most people just look at the premium price that they would be paying. And if that seems low, they feel like, well, you know, I have a good deal here. But if anything goes wrong, you end up paying out the wazoo. Most people don't realize that.
Wow. What would you say is the biggest lie people kind of believe about health insurance? What have you found that to be?
The biggest lie that people believe is that they don't need it. That they don't need it. And a lot of times they wait until things get really, really bad. And then, wait a minute, I need it.
And you know what? I think even for entrepreneurs with health insurance, I don't know that it's your first item of importance, but it's super important, especially as you start building out. And I don't know that, I think even myself, it's been, a long time. You just don't think about, you don't always think about that top of mind, but it's super important. And as with this segment focusing on the importance of, if something goes wrong with you or employees, it's really like that's your whole business. Your whole business can just be, one sickness, one illness. Not having the right coverage is super, super important. So
right. The issue that I find is a lot of people take a more reactive approach to their health rather than a proactive. Your costs are actually lower if you are taking those preventative measures. Okay. You get lower costs.
Explain that a little bit. Like, what does that mean?
So if a healthy person that, to their checkups at their doctor, gets screened, certain tests, and remains healthy. So meaning, follows the 8 laws of health,
There's 8.
8 laws of health.
Okay.
It's known by New Start. But, the proper nutrition, getting that exercise, the proper sleep, temperance, keeping their stress levels down, drinking enough water, and making sure they keep up with that. Their costs are normally lower. There's actually...
Does that person exist? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Plenty people exist, but that's where education comes in.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know about these bodies that we've been blessed with and how to maintain it and how to stay in good health.
Or take it for granted, when you do have good health until you don't.
Exactly. So, what we find with a lot of entrepreneurs, sometimes they burn the candle at both ends. They'll, I think we all can be guilty of that from time to time. Yeah. But it just takes that awareness, and that's where, we at All Things Health, we are actually a network.
Wow.
We are a network of different providers that come together to offer that awareness, that education to our communities, to our employers. We come in and speak to your employees and you as well.
Wow.
And we have different educational seminars that we put together. Preventative care, wellness education, and also education on how insurance and your benefits will work as well.
Wow. I know most people are confused about what kind of coverages are out there, what they need, and we kind of talked about that a little bit, but who kind of benefits from people who being confused about what coverages they should get?
Honestly, nobody benefits because the health insurance industry gets a bad name if people get the wrong coverage, and when they, go in for an appointment, that appointment isn't covered. So it seems like their insurance, that they're paying for isn't working for them. So it's so important to sit down and take a look at the individual needs. Even sometimes, health history in your family, so that you can get sometimes the proper.
That's
well,
right.
yeah,
all the time. Yeah.
All the time. Yes, your health history
in
in your family, so that you can get the proper coverage and really step it in advance.
Honestly, that's something people don't kind of think about because like you're saying, there's all kinds of different coverages in a plan. Some plans cover certain things better than others.
Right.
And, I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in that industry, but it's not like a one size fits all. And I think sometimes people kind of approach it that way. That that whatever is offered is what it is. But it's I guess especially if you're an entrepreneur, you can shop for your insurance. And so, do you find that people are sometimes paying for things that they don't really need? And if so, what are the things that people paying for that they really don't actually need with their health insurance?
Sometimes with the premium costs, we are paying for the health needs of others. What happened with the Affordable Care Act, it kind of lumped everybody into the same bucket, the healthy, the non-healthy, those who had, more needs. And so the premium price for everybody kind of went up. So there are other options out there if your needs might not be as great. Like you don't need to see a specialist every other month, or, if your needs aren't as great. There are other options. There's private insurance, plenty of options that you can, that might be more affordable for you.
So so you have all of those. So you have access to all those different things. So it depends on what somebody needs. That's really cool. That so is there anything that that people are not paying for that they absolutely should be paying for when it comes to health insurance?
I think that a lot of people are guided by what their plan provides, but there are also supplemental options. So, for instance, I think mental health is a need.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, mental health coverage is a need for everybody. We all have those days where you just need somebody to talk to and, you know, help get over that hump that you have. And some people will look at their coverage and say, oh, well, mental health isn't covered, so I have to pay out of pocket. That's like 125, 150 a pop. And so that discourages them from getting the coverage that they need. But there's options out there where you can pay $99 a month and have
And it's
24/7
standalone
as
supplemental
a
policy.
standalone
Okay.
and have 24/7 access to somebody to talk to where you don't have to wait until things get really, really bad and you're on a crisis hotline.
So explain it a little bit more. Like, I kind of understand what you're saying, but just for somebody who doesn't understand it, so you can have your regular coverage, but you can also have a supplemental policy that
Right.
speaks specifically to your needs.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's awesome. It's something that people don't think about. Something I haven't really not thought about much, but sometimes you need that in the mental health piece. So all you gotta do is cut on the news nowadays. You need some mental health.
Right, absolutely.
So yeah, but yeah, I think that's super important. I think it gets, especially the mind of entrepreneurs. We're dealing with a lot, juggling a lot,
Yes.
and sometimes you just need a place to decompress if it's that. But or just like you said earlier, just paying even close attention to other specific things that you might need. That and so not looking at it as like I said, a one size fits all, but kind of finding a size that fits you.
Right,
Makes
absolutely. Absolutely.
So, we're all kind of seeing, I guess, with the news, with premiums rising, and so why is that kind of happening? And talk about, is it justified with premiums going up the way that they are?
Well, the premiums rising would definitely be due to the increased costs in, hospital care, also costly treatments as well, and administrative overhead. Yeah.
So let me just ask you, if someone hasn't, we're kind of talking about plans, we're talking about supplemental plans, or just kind of the different things that people can do. And so what if someone hasn't kind of reviewed their plan in like 2 or 3 years? What risk are they kind of sitting on,
Well, they might be paying for what they don't need or needing what they don't have.
Yeah.
So needing something that they're not covered for. So yeah, it is good to review.
And 2 to 3 years is generally the time frame you suggest, or every year, or how often should somebody, life insurance is something you want to, even though you probably health insurance probably needs more frequent check than life insurance.
Right, absolutely. I say definitely, keep your options open. Make sure that, you're not overpaying. See what's available out there. I would say yearly. Check and see. And if you're getting your coverage at the best price and, you're happy with your coverage, keep it, or
If not, call you. Right?
Absolutely.
So if I own a small business, which I do, with under 25 employees, what should I be thinking about right now? The employer out there that has 25 or less employees, what should they be thinking about right now other than making money?
So definitely providing benefits that attract and keep their best employees. So, making those types of investments in their employee. For, I would say, a 2 to 20, a 2 to 20 small business, I would say an ICHRA.
Okay.
And so that provides like individual coverage. The benefits of that for you. So it would give the employees like a tax-free monthly allowance.
Okay.
So they would purchase their own individual health plans, and the business would reimburse like up to a set amount.
Okay. Yeah.
So the important thing for you is that you would control that budget, and there's no group minimum.
So is that kind of, I guess that's like a way of offering those benefits. And you said something super important as an, it is very important to attract good talent. And honestly, sometimes that is enough. A health insurance plan will keep somebody there, keep someone from shopping
Absolutely.
and going around. And so offering benefits without killing the profit margins, how do you go and do that? How does as an employer or a business owner, how do we go out there and do that?
Well, there's a few ways. So, one of the things about investing in your employees, you would also get a tax deduction back for that.
Okay.
And so it kind of evens out in a way too, because the employees would, pay
So
a
they're
portion.
Paying, right.
Hmm.
So they're paying a portion. You're getting the benefit, the write off a little bit for the portion.
Right.
I guess you're supplementing of that. You're getting to retain key people or people that are not going anywhere. So it's kind of like a win-win.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good, I like that. Okay.
And then if you add on and have more of benefit offerings, say life insurance, that also retains, your key employees as
So
well,
health
top
insurance
employees.
is a good retaining, employee retaining tool. So what would you say is the kind of like the smartest structure for a family business? If they were trying to reduce costs, what's the best way to kind of structure that?
Definitely having a family plan put in place.
Okay.
It depends on their needs as well. But they, would, and I always say, because I'm not a tax professional, but definitely speak to your tax advisor about it. But it is possible in business, and when you own a business, getting those premiums, that the premiums are tax deductible as well.
Right.
So, but, follow up with your tax advisor on that.
So should entrepreneurs treat kind of like healthcare differently than like W-2 employees kind of do? What do you say in your mind?
Actually, yes. Entrepreneurs should definitely invest a bit more in their health.
Okay.
In their health, because, without their health, what happens to the business? If anything happens to them, so I always encourage, our entrepreneurs, invest in yourself, invest in your health, and then talk to your tax advisor because a lot of times it's a write-off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get the benefit of that, and which is super important. And how, in your opinion, like how many families you would say are kind of like one medical event away from a financial collapse? We see it a lot where it's like one, and again, a lot of times physical ailments don't announce themselves; they just happen.
Right.
And if you're not prepared and you don't have the proper coverage, it can be devastating. So I don't know if you could speak to like how many times do you kind of think that is a situation that exists out there?
It's so common. In fact, our family, we were touched by that recently. Luckily, my father had money set aside in a health savings account as well. So that's another option, setting up health savings accounts so that what isn't covered by your health insurance, you can also have that money to be able to pay for treatments as well.
You kind of spoke to something I want to touch back on. And it's in your mind, like what role does education play in preventing chronic conditions? You kind of spoke to those 8 things, and so let's talk about that again. So so what role does kind of education play in chronic conditions?
It plays a huge role. So it's not only knowing how the body works and following those 8 laws to the best ability, but screening and keeping those doctor's appointments. It's very important. Education on what's going on within you. Education, what are the available treatments? What are your options?
You know what? I think it's super important. I'm not even sure where I picked this up, but I heard it somewhere, and I kind of started applying it. Once I hit 30, which was like last year, uh, I started going to making sure I had annual checkups. You know, especially as a black
Yes.
man. You know,
So
it's
important.
yes, to just have that annual checkup. And you know, my 30s, I would do it before my birthday. Hey, the birthday was the trigger. You know, and that was
Right.
the one thing that somebody I came across that information. I never forgot it, so I just constantly did that. Once I hit 40, I did it after my birthday. Did the birthday stuff first, and then get the bad news later. But anyway, I'm kidding. But I'm just kind of putting it out there as advice for people to kind of like a trigger to do those annual checkups.
Yes,
Especially minutes. It's
absolutely.
kind of doing it around your birthday is something really easy to remember. I remember hearing that and retaining that for a while, and actually, you know, because sometimes it's like if you're super healthy. I mean, I don't really have issues like cut my hand the other day, but other than that, it's just
Oh.
you know, I was making a health smoothie, and you know, anyway, with the blender,
Oh,
the blender's fault.
goodness.
But anyway, so would you say prevention is actually cheaper, or is it just is it that just marketing? You know?
Prevention is cheaper. And when I say prevention, it's not only, going to those checkups, but also getting the coverage. Like some people, they have not had a diagnosis for cancer, but they'll get the cancer coverage because maybe somebody in their family has passed away from cancer. And so they'll get the coverage just in case they get that diagnosis. And so, they're, maybe paying a couple of bucks, up front. But if anything happens,
Right.
here's a lump sum.
Right,
Here's a lump sum
right.
of $50,000, or here's a lump sum of $100,000. And that goes a long way.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's more expensive to insure after the fact. For those, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you might not
or
qualify
right,
after
right.
after the fact.
So
So,
then you're super out of pocket at that point.
Right.
Seeing Ray Ray and Pookie for a loan,
yes, yes.
Have you experienced or worked with anyone who was massively overpaying before working with you, and you kind of helped them save money on their health insurance?
So I have. I have multiple times, but some, they're okay with what they're paying because of, maybe other benefits that insurance doesn't provide. So, yeah.
I got it. What would you say what was the biggest aha moment that you think clients have when they finally understand their options, that they can go out and do some of these things? So once you sit down with somebody and you kind of show them that, what do you find that to be?
The biggest aha moment is I would say when the deductible is explained to them, when they see that you're either going to pay on the front end or the back end. So when the deductible is explained, that if you are paying very little on the front end, but you're picking on a massive deductible, you're going to, pay.
Let's break that down. Let's talk about the deductible, because I think it is a misnomer. Something people don't really understand how it works. It's like pay now or pay later. So,
Right.
and it could be a great strategy if it's a strategy. So kind of speak to that a little bit. Explain how demystify deductibles for people.
So sometimes you can get, low deductibles, 0 to maybe 2,500, 7,500, 10,000, 10,800. So it just depends. But a lot of times with the 0 premiums, you'll get a deductible that's like 10,800. And so you're not paying anything on the front end, but if anything happens,
You're paying that
a
first
lot of
10,000.
times the plan itself won't kick in until you pay off that 10,800 deductible. So sometimes people can see, especially like with the ACA, people can see 0 and, focus in on those numbers, or that they're only paying $125 a month for their premium.
Right.
And they're focused on that number, but the number to look at is the deductible number and the maximum out of pocket, and keep in mind, and just really read the fine print of the plan. So whoever you might be dealing with, ask them for the plan brochure and read the fine print. Make sure everything that you need is covered. Look at those numbers. Look at the deductible number. Look at the maximum out-of-pocket number. And keep in mind that if anything at all goes wrong, you're going to have to pay that before your insurance kicks in.
So do you sit down with people and kind of do that for them? You kind of go through, hey, let's talk about your deductible. Let's talk about what you have, what you need, what works best.
Right, we do. We take a look at the different plans. We compare. I explain to them, the details in the plan. We look at that and see if it's a good fit. So, wow. And we also, have candid discussions about what they need. And so, we're normally able to find the right plan for them.
Wow, that's great. And so kind of where do you think healthcare is kind of heading really in the next decade or so? Where do you think it's going?
It's actually an exciting time. Efforts are being made right now to lower those costs, the prescription costs, and also the cost of coverage as well. So it's an exciting time.
Okay, good.
And also efforts are being made on preventative awareness as well too.
So is there anything you would suggest that entrepreneurs should be doing or start doing now to prepare for what this future looks like?
I would say for entrepreneurs specifically, if you're not covered, to look at getting coverage, and also look at setting up a health savings account. Okay. That's something that's been very beneficial as well.
Okay, health savings account, because you mentioned that before. And so you want to talk a little bit about what a health savings account is, kind of how you set it up?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an account that you can put for individuals. I believe it's $4,500 for families. You can put up to $8,500 per year, and you can set that money aside for any medical emergencies that come up or anything that's really not covered by your health insurance.
And there's some tax benefits to that, right?
Definitely some. Okay. It's a tax shelter as well.
So you're a tax professional about that. So that's another benefit.
Yes, definitely. Talk to your tax professional.
Okay, so that's really good to know. All right, we're kind of moving along really, really quickly. We are at this segment where we call this Pitch Perfect segment, and let me explain kind of how this segment goes. We usually kind of send some stuff out there, and so this is where listeners will kind of send in some real life business scenarios, and we break them down live, no fluff, just clarity and strategy. So here's today's submission. So are you ready?
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay, so this person writes in, I don't have a name for this person, but they wrote in that I own a 10-person marketing agency. Our premiums went up 22% this year. I want to keep my team happy, but I can't keep absorbing increases. What are my real options? Lauren, what would you tell them?
Absolutely. So let's see. So their costs went up 22%.
22%, yeah.
Yeah, we have seen an increase this year, especially because we have not had the... Okay, so for them, I would have to take a look at their specific plan and just kind of see. They can do some shopping around to see if there are other providers that...
So you're like a broker. You have...
I do.
Different things that are good. So you're not just one. Hey, this is all.
No, not just one.
That's good.
So yeah, we do some shopping around and see if there are providers that offer the same types of coverage and perks, but at a lower price.
All right.
So that's what we would do.
I have another question from a self-employed listener, and they're saying, I'm healthy. I rarely go to the doctor. Should I just get the cheapest plan possible and invest the difference? Is that a smart move or a dangerous gamble?
Well, you want to look at that plan, and you know, need to look at the specifics of what might be going on. Make sure that the plan covers. So, for instance, you're healthy, yes. There are some plans that pop in my mind, some private plans that would be cheaper for you, but if you're pregnant, certain things might not be covered on it. So it's one of those things you have to look at the specifics of your situation and make sure that you would still have the coverage that you're needing.
And that's where the annual assessment becomes a pretty important thing, because you may not need it this year, but those changes, those things,
Right.
the changes occur. You might need it in the future. You may not need it now, but tomorrow.
Right, absolutely.
So it's good to check. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit. And so if you were redesigning healthcare education for entrepreneurs from scratch, what would that look like? Would it be mandatory workshops, employer playbooks, or community-based education? What do you kind of look at when you look out there? What do you kind of see is missing now for educationally for entrepreneurs?
Definitely community-based education. Definitely workshops on, you know, stress management, on just basic, you know, keeping up with your health. So.
All right. Okay. And so if you were looking at who needs you the most, we're talking about who's your target audience. Is it self-employed entrepreneurs, growing small businesses, families with rising premiums, or high-income earners trying to optimize their benefits? What would you kind of say? Who should be reaching out to you like immediately after listening to this podcast? Who should be calling Lauren Humphrey right away?
I would say all of the above.
All of the above. Great answer.
Above,
Great answer.
yes, we have options for everybody. Yeah, including, you know, retirees, and so we have options for you as well.
All right, so you work with all of those different core groups, so any of those people. So if you're listening out there, if you fall in any one of those categories, give her a call. We do have like a Mind Your Minute segment as we're kind of closing. We're actually doing really good for time. This is great.
Okay.
It's going by super quick. But the Mind Your Minute segment is here, talks about really entrepreneurs really, in short, everything except the one asset that creates the revenue, which is themselves. So you protect your building, you protect your LLC, you even protect your equipment, but if your health collapses, so does your empire. So this week, I want you to review your healthcare plan like you review your P&L statement. If you don't understand it, you don't control it. And if you don't control it, it's costing you more than you think, most likely. So it's a good idea to go out there and check it out. Call Lauren Humphrey. She's right here. So, Lauren, listen, what's one final piece of advice that you would want to leave with our listeners about protecting both their health and their financial future?
I would say that the two are connected. So the two are connected. Health is wealth.
And they rhyme. But yes, yeah. And so, how do you relate those two things together? How do you see those two things together, coming together? Like, how is health your wealth? How do, in your mind? I know that we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier.
It is the investment that has the greatest return.
That's a great way to put it.
So,
that is a great way to put it.
absolutely.
Yeah, great way to put it. Lauren, this conversation definitely does make one thing clear, that confusion is expensive. Education can be profitable, so healthcare doesn't have to feel overwhelming. So with the right information, the right structure, and the right strategy, excuse me, it sounds like you can protect both your health and your body and your bank account at the same time. So it's good. I want you to thank you actually for helping us simplify something that affects really every entrepreneur. So thank you for that. But Lauren, okay, what I want to do is it's definitely been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And I want you to go into how, or for our listeners who want to learn more about the healthcare benefits, protecting their health and their wallet, where can they find you online?
Yes, absolutely. We're social. I won't attempt to.
Say it again.
No, I
Yeah.
said we are social.
Okay, good,
So we're
good.
we're
Good
on
to know.
Facebook.
How do they find you? Where
And
do
we're on Instagram. So give me 1 second. Let me
All right.
pull this up here.
So you're out there. Okay. I'm waiting on you.
Sorry about the dead air.
Wait for your socials. Like how do people find you? How do people get in touch with Lauren Humphrey? How do they? Let's give them the name of the business again.
Okay, so our business is All Things Health, and you can actually go to our website. So that's all-things-health.healthcare. My Facebook is it's very long. So once you go on our site, you'll be able to connect with us on Facebook as well.
All right. Any IG, TikTok, any of those other things? Just the
Not
Facebook.
just yet.
Good. So listen, I want to say thank you for sharing, and I also want to thank all of you for tuning in. And again, if you want to keep up with me, Max Fortune, stay connected to the Mind Your Business podcast. You can find me on all social media platforms as Mind Your Biz Expert, as well as on YouTube and all major podcast platforms. So make sure to subscribe, follow, and keep the conversation going. Now, we also love to hear from you, so submit your business ideas, questions, or even topics for the Pitch Perfect segment. And you can reach out to us on social media. Also, we ask you to engage with the community, and let's build something together. Until next time, stay sharp, stay focused, and always mind your business. See you in the next episode.